Good morning, students. I, Sarita Goyal, your bio teacher, is going to discuss with you the next, the life process chapter, of which I have sent you the audio video of respiration, transportation, and excretion. But nutrition topic was left, as I told you in my first lecture that it has been covered in two sections. So I started there with respiration. Now I am taking the topic nutrition as I told you earlier. Now what are the life process? Life process, as I mentioned here, this nutrition, respiration, transportation, and excretion. These are the process which are necessary for your maintaining the body. These process indicates that you are alive. If they are working properly in your body, then you are alive. Now, question is that how you'll come to know that you are alive? Someone will say, ma'am, by breathing. Someone will say, movement, right? But I want to say that some indications are there which are not visible. You can tell that we are alive by only visible movements, but there are some process which are not visible, but they are necessary for remaining alive. Now, for why I'm saying this, for example, I'm taking virus. This virus is inactive. It is active only when it comes in the contact with the cells of our body, right? As you are hearing about now coronavirus. This virus, when it enters our body, it becomes active. So, I have mentioned here four processes, that is nutrition, respiration, transportation, and excretion. But I have not mentioned about reproduction. Why? Because this is the process which is, of course, it is a life process, but it is not necessary for remaining alive. Because if some couples, if they are not having children, they will not die, they will remain alive. Right? So reproduction process is not mentioned in under the life process, which indicates that we are alive. Now we start discussing the process nutrition, which I have not discussed earlier. Nutrition is the method of obtaining nutrients from the environment. It can be defined as the process by which the organisms ingest means taking food inside, then digest, then absorb, our body absorbs the digested food, and it transport to the different parts of the body to get the energy and utilize nutrients and dispose of that comes under the process excretion, their end products. All these processes which are mentioned here are necessary. With even if one process will not coordinate with other, we will not allow. Now, first definition is nutrition, which has been written here. Now you'll get, it is an important topic. You may get in your exam. It is a 1 marks question also. It may comes under 2 also. It may comes under 3 also. It may comes under 5 also. Now, what are nutrients? Nutrients are the substance or the minerals which are present in our food in the balanced amount. For example, vitamins, carbohydrates, fats, proteins, water, and spices. All these are the nutrients which are present in our food. Right? Now, next question is different types of nutrition. Nutrition is of two types. One is autotrophic and second one is heterotropic. In autotrophic, it is the process of nutrition, right? There are some the students will go wrong. Autotrophs is one word and autotrophic is another word. Autotrophs are the organisms, right? Autotrophs are organisms that can produce their own food from the substances available in their surrounding, right? For example, light for photosynthesis and conversion of light to chemical energy, that is chemosynthesis, right? Then come to the definition of autotrophic nutrition. It is the process, right, in which food is synthesized from simple inorganic raw materials such as carbon dioxide and water. Here I have not written light and chlorophyll. Why? Because plants have chlorophyll and they absorb light by themselves. We are providing them two raw materials, that is carbon dioxide and water. So student, please note that if the question comes, what are the raw material used for photosynthesis? You have to write carbon dioxide and water. What is heterotropic nutrition? Food is obtained directly or indirectly from the autotrophs, right? And this food is broken down with the help of enzyme. This is the autotrophic nutrition. Again, heterotrophs are the organisms which cannot synthesize their own food and rely, that means depends on other organisms. They are both plants as well as animals for nutrition. So don't get confused. If the questions come, write the autotrophic nutrition, it is the process. You have to start, it is the process. And if it is autotrophs, these are the organisms, right? So this is about autotrophic and heterotropic nutrition. Now, these autotrophics are all green plants and certain bacteria. These are the autotrophs which manufacture their own food. How the process of photosynthesis takes place? In earlier classes, you have studied about that plants prepare their food by the process of photosynthesis. But you have not learned about what happens during photosynthesis. So this photosynthesis process occurs in 3 steps, right? And 2 phases, that is light phase and dark phase. You are not going to study again in detail in your 10th standard, but if you are taking bio in 11th, you are going to study this process again in the detail. Now here are the main points which I am going to discuss, right? First, absorptions of sunlight energy by chlorophyll. That means when sunlight falls on the leaves, the chlorophyll which is present in the chloroplast, right? Chloroplast is the kitchen house of the cell. These molecules get excited and they absorb sunlight, right? And they convert this sunlight into solar energy into chemical energy. So here are 2 steps. First is absorption of sunlight. Second is conversion of light energy into chemical energy. So this is the function of chlorophyll, right? Without chlorophyll, no plants is not able to absorb sunlight, right? Then photosynthesis process will not take place. Then second step is splitting of water into hydrogen and oxygen by light energy. Now we are providing them water, right? This is the raw material. So this light energy, solar energy, can break down water into hydrogen and oxygen. We all say that plants gives us oxygen, but how? During when the water splits, it splits into hydrogen and oxygen. As you all know that water is made up of hydrogen and oxygen. So this oxygen will be released in the atmosphere, right? In by stomata. Stomata I'll discuss later on, in the atmosphere. And what is this? This hydrogen is left, and this hydrogen is used by plants to reduction of carbon dioxide into carbohydrates, right? Clear? This hydrogen is used by plants into reduction of carbon dioxide into carbohydrates. So these first 2 steps, these occur in light phase during the daytime, and third step, that is reduction of carbon dioxide, occur in night time, right? Now these process, it is not necessary that takes place in this sequence only. Why I am telling you? Because of desert plants. Because desert plants in the reduction, they absorb carbon dioxide during night, right? And rest of the process takes place in the morning. Clear? In desert plant, these third steps occur at the night. That is first steps that occurs in the night, that is absorbing of carbon dioxide. When the sunlight falls, these chlorophyll molecules get excited and light energy is converted into chemical energy. Clear? So stomata opens in desert plant. Stomata opens during night time to absorb carbon dioxide, and this process takes place in reverse order. So this is all about photosynthesis. And what is the equation of photosynthesis? You can see here carbon dioxide plus water. Now this is carbon dioxide is again raw material and water is raw material. So in the presence of light and chlorophyll, this carbon dioxide and water get converted into glucose, right? Glucose and oxygen is released as a byproduct, and energy is also released, which is used by our body for metabolic activities. Now what are metabolic activities? Metabolic activities are of two types, that is anabolic and catabolic, right? Anabolic is the physical activities, and chemical catabolic is the activities which occurs inside our body. So now coming to the raw material for photosynthesis: carbon dioxide, water, chlorophyll, and light. I told you if one of them is missing, the photosynthesis process will not take place. This we can show by the help of activities that carbon dioxide is necessary for photosynthesis, chlorophyll is necessary for photosynthesis, light is necessary for photosynthesis, and water is necessary for photosynthesis. Now coming to the activity that is the chlorophyll is necessary for photosynthesis. Now you have to take a potted plant with variegated leaves. What is this variegated leaves? You can see in the diagram, this leaf is green in the middle and yellow at the side, right? So variegated means the leaf which have yellow as well as green color. Yellow color indicates that there is no chlorophyll and there is no starch. The photosynthesis has not been taken place. But green color indicates that there is a chlorophyll present. So what we'll do, we take this top potted plants and we are going to keep this plant in dark for 3 days. Dark room for 3 days. Why we are keeping in dark room? So that all the starch which is made earlier by the leaf, right, that has been used. Now after keeping 3 days in the dark room, take out the potted plant and keep in the light for 6 hours. Again, why we are keeping in the 6 hours? By keeping in 3 days in the dark room, we have used this plant have used all the starch, right? And again keeping in 6 hours, again they will made their starch. One thing I wanted to tell you, if the plants do not use the food prepared by it, then it will be stored in the form of starch, right? And whenever it wants, it can use it. Animals store the food in the form of glycogen. How you'll come to know? Sometimes when we'll keep fast, we will not eat anything, and we are doing all the work as we are doing when we are eating. But how will get the energy? This energy which we will get on that particular day, the food which we have already stored in the form of glycogen. So note down, I'll ask you to mark in your NCERT also. This is an important question of 1 mark. In which form the food is stored in the plants, that is in the form of starch, and in the animals in the form of glycogen. So coming to the experiment, now pluck this leaf, draw its tracing indicating the part which is green and which is yellow, right? Now you have to draw the tracing of this, and as it is that this part is green, you mark it there green, and this part is yellow, you mark it. Because when we are doing the experiment, after doing the experiment, you should be knowing that this part is my green and this part of leaf is yellow. Now this is, then take out the leaf. Now you have to boil in the water, right? This is the variegated leaf which contains yellow as well as green color. Now you are going to keep this boil the leaf in the water. Why we are boiling the leaf in the water? To make it soft as well as to remove all the impurities which are present on the leaves, some dust or anything, right? Now this is your leaf, pure leaf which have been removed impurities. Now you have to take out the leaf from the water. Now put in the alcohol, and you have to boil the leaf in the alcohol using a water bath. You can see one more beaker here. I have kept the leaf in the one beaker which contains alcohol. Again, this beaker I kept in the another beaker which contains water, and I am boiling this leaf in the alcohol using water bath. Why I have taken water bath? All of you must be knowing that alcohol is a inflammable substance. That is, it catches fires quickly. So you have to boil the leaf in the alcohol using water bath. When you boil the leaf in the alcohol, what happens? What do you observe? This leaf becomes pale yellow color, right? These leaves become pale yellow color, and this alcohol becomes green in color. Why? Because chlorophyll has been removed from leaf. So this alcohol becomes green in color. After that, take out the leaf, wash with the water, right? Here, uh, uh, take out the leaf, wash with the water, and put iodine solution. This iodine solution for testing starch, whether the leaf has starch or not. So what happens? I'll show in the diagram. When you put the iodine solution, the green part which contains chlorophyll has become blue-black in color. Why? It indicates the presence of starch. And the leaf, which is yellow in color, remains as it is because there is no starch. Why there is no starch? Because it has no chlorophyll. So this experiment shows that chlorophyll is necessary for photosynthesis. Now coming to the second activity, that carbon dioxide is necessary for photosynthesis. Now what I have done, I have taken two potted plants, right? I kept on the flat surface, and then in one dish plate I have taken potassium hydroxide. Why I have taken potassium hydroxide? Because it absorbs the carbon dioxide, right? So you have taken two potted plants, you have kept on that of same size. Why I have taken same size? So that the presence of carbon dioxide is equal in both the plants in the bell jar, right? Now cover this bell jar with the same size, cover with these potted plants with the bell jar which is of again same size. Why I have taken same size? So that the presence of air inside the bell jar will be of equal quantity, right? So we have taken two potted plants, two bell jar, and a plate containing potassium hydroxide. Now seal from the sideways. Why we are sealing? With the help of wax or glycerin, you have to seal so that no more air can enter into the jar. Clear? So you have taken two plants. Again I am telling you, you have taken on a dish plate in which potassium hydroxide is kept, right? And two bell jar to cover these plants. And again now you have to seal it so that no more air can enter. Leave for 4-5 days. What do you observe? You'll observe that one plant is not growing, right? The leaves are starting drooping out. इसको बोलते हैं मुरझाना, right? In which plants you will observe that the one in which you have kept potassium hydroxide. In this potted plant, the leaves starts drooping out and then they start dying because the carbon dioxide has been absorbed by this potassium hydroxide. If there is no carbon dioxide, photosynthesis process will not take place and the plants will not get food and it starts dying. But this plant is flourishing because it is using the carbon dioxide which is present in the jar, right? So this experiment indicates that carbon dioxide is necessary for photosynthesis. If you are having any doubt, you listen it carefully and you can ask me today itself in your live classes. So I'll send you before live classes, you go through it and then prepare for the doubts. Now as I told you earlier that stomata, they takes carbon dioxide and give out oxygen. Where do you find this stomata? Stomata are present in the section of leaf. If you take out the section of leaf, you will find numerous stomata, right? And these stomata mostly they are present in lower surface of the leaves. If you take out the section of lower surface, you will find numerous stomata, uncountable, right? And if you take the upper surface, you will find 2 or 3 stomata in that particular section. So better to take out lower section, that we are doing in our labs when we are meeting in the school. um, about stomata you have already learned in 9th class also. Now what is stomata? It is surrounded by one pair of guard cells, that is, it is being shaped, or we can call it as kidney shape. So this is the stomatal pore. This stomatal pore is surrounded by two guard cells, and these guard cells, they contain chloroplast as well as nucleus, right? So this dark one, these are called chloroplast, and this is called nucleus. Clear? And they are surrounded by subsidiary or epidermal cells. Clear? Clear? So this is all about the structure of stomata. Now how it works, what are the function of stomata? As I told you in 9th class, it is transpiration and exchange of gases. So how the exchange of gases takes place and how the process of transpiration takes place, now you are going to study. When these guard cells swell up with what? Water. The water from plants comes to the guard cells. When these guard cells, this is the diagram of open stomata, right? In your book, you can see the diagram of open stomata as well as closed stomata. So what happens when these guard cells swells with the water, right? When water flows into the guard cells, it swell up. When they swell up, they causes the stomata to open. And when this stomata open, this water evaporates, right? This water evaporates. That process is called transpiration. So what is transpiration? Loss of water into water vapors, in the form of water vapors. That is called transpiration. And when this water evaporates, the pressure is developing in these guards, and they absorb carbon dioxide, and along with water, oxygen also escapes. So exchange of gases takes place through the stomata. So when the water is when it loses water, the pressure is developed, and that pressure also pulls the water from the roots to the upper surface, that I'll discuss when I am going to discuss transportation in plants, right? Now water evaporates and it absorbs carbon dioxide, it leaves off oxygen. This is how this stomata works. So this is all about nutrition in plants. Now I have left one more topic, that is heterotrophic nutrition. Now I have discussed autotrophic nutrition. Now coming to the heterotrophic mode of nutrition, there are 3 types, that is saprophytic, parasitic and hologen. What is saprophytic nutrition? In this process, the plants uh, obtain its food from dead and decaying matter. For example, fungi, yeast. You can take mushroom, agaricus. We call it as, scientific name is agaricus. So mushroom, you have seen, it is growing on the rotten things. Remember that all mushrooms are not edible. They are poisonous also. So the mushrooms which are edible, though it is growing on the rotten things, but is growing on the under the cave. So all the mushrooms are not edible. So that is the example of saprophytic mode of nutrition. Now what is parasitic mode of nutrition? It obtains its food from living organisms. So examples of this Cuscuta is the parasitic plant, leech, tapeworm is the parasitic animals. You can write mosquitoes also, because mosquitoes take your blood. Lice, जुएं, ticks, these are the examples of heterotrophic nutrition. You can note down the examples of parasitic mode of nutrition from your NCERT book, that is page number 98, under the paragraph heterotrophic, last but second line, right? This is one of the important question of 1 mark. Name parasitic plants or name parasitic animals. Clear? Third one is holozoic. It is written amoeba. You have studied in your process in 9th class also, by the process of endocytosis. This amoeba has flexible membrane that is called pseudopodia. So with the help of pseudopodia, it swallow whole food, right? So that is called, it swallows whole food and then it digests. That is called holozoic mode of nutrition, right? In parasitic, there is a parasite and host. Host means what? Suppose mosquito is absorbing your blood. So you are host and parasite is mosquito. Now, nutrition in amoeba, as I told you, right? This is a single celled organism, unicellular organism. So it's single cell. First it takes the whole food, then digest it, and after digestion it gives to the cytoplasm and absorbs the waste products and removes through the process called egestion, right? Now, coming to the nutrition in human being. Now I am going to take this nutrition in amoeba in detail. You can see in the slide. Now, as I told you, this is the structure of amoeba. You all know that amoeba has no fixed shape. Why it has no fixed shape? Because of the flexibility of this pseudopodia, right? The cell membrane, it is the flexible. So what happens? Why it has not fixed shape? That we'll discuss now. Now, whenever this pseudopodia comes in the contact of any food particles, it captures and forms food vacuole. This food vacuole is not present earlier in the amoeba. It forms only when it captures the food particle, right? It forms food vacuole. And breaking down of food particles takes place in this food vacuole. After breaking down of food particles, digested food, this food goes to the cytoplasm. Now, this cytoplasm takes the food particles. Now, when it takes the food particles, digested food particles, it also generates waste products. This waste product again absorbed by food vacuole, and this food vacuole becomes large and large in size. And wherever it touches the cell membrane, suppose this food vacuole, when it becomes a large, it touches here. So this cell membrane gets ruptured from here and the waste products throws into the environment, that is in the atmosphere, right? So this waste product comes out. So this is ingestion, this is digestion, and here assimilations, and fourth one is egestion, that is it is throwing waste product. So now the position of this pseudopodia or vacuoles, it change. So when it ruptures from here, here it forms this pseudopodia. What is pseudopodia? It is finger-like projections, right? It is finger-like projections. So that is the pseudopodia. So this is all about nutrition in amoeba. Next is, if you see the chart, next is nutrition in human being. Very important topic, right? So we are going to talk with the what is under the heading, that is alimentary canal or digestive systems. So you will get the diagram. Diagram is also very important. Write the draw the label diagram of alimentary canal, and you know the function of each and every organ of your alimentary canal, because it is very important. Not from the examination point of view, you should know about your body, what is happening when you are taking food inside. Now here there are one more heading is written, that is digestive glands. Here it is digestive glands. Why this digestive gland is written separately? Because you are talking about salivary. We are talking about salivary glands, gastric glands, liver, and pancreas. Though they play very important role in the digestive system, but these are not the organs of alimentary canal. This alimentary canal is a tubular structure. It is 9 meter long, which is present in your body. You will think that 9 meter long is not even our height also, but it is present in the form of, it is present in the coiled form. So what are the organs of alimentary canal? First one is mouth, pharynx, esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine. You can add two more, that is rectum and anus. It is not written here. You can add two more, that is rectum and anus. So these are the parts, these are the organs of the digestive system. We are not included here liver and pancreas mainly, because salivary glands is your mouth, right? And gastric glands are secreting your stomach. So this liver and pancreas, though it play very important role, but it is not comes under the part of the digestive alimentary canal. So we'll start with the mouth. What happens in the mouth? When you take a piece of chapati in your mouth, what happens? You chew with the teeth, right? Why you're chewing with the teeth? To convert complex food into simpler ones for easy digestion and swallowing. You can't swallow whole chapati in your mouth, in your esophagus, right? You have to swallow the small pieces. So in the mouth, this teeth convert complex food into simpler ones. And in mouth, you are having tongue. Now, what is the function of tongue? It is not only for tasting and speaking, it plays a very important role in the digestion of food. It roll over the food, mixes with the saliva. Now, what is saliva? It is present in your mouth. Whenever you see your favorite food, what will say? मुंह में पानी आ गया. What is the मुंह में पानी? That is the saliva, right? So this saliva, you see your mouth is watering. Now mouth is watering means the saliva is secreted when you see your favorite food, right? What does the saliva contains? This saliva is secreted by salivary glands, right? This saliva contains the enzyme called salivary amylase, right? This saliva contains the enzyme called salivary amylase, which breaks down in the sugar into starch. That means digestion starts in your mouth itself. Clear? Digestion starts in the mouth itself. So, saliva contains salivary amylase, which breaks sugar into starch, right? You won't keep the food in your mouth till all the sugar breaks down. What will happen? Only while chewing you will keep in the mouth, then you swallow. Now you are going to swallow the food. It goes through the esophagus to the stomach, right? And this esophagus, no digestion takes place. This is the only organ where no digestion takes place. So from the mouth, the food comes directly into the stomach. Now here you will having a soft muscle, flap of skin, that is called sphincter muscle. This helps to pass the food smoothly in your stomach, right? And when you swallow the food, how this food comes to the stomach? Question. You don't push the food from the with the help of spoon inside your stomach. Only you put in the mouth. It comes automatically in the stomach by the peristaltic movement. What is this peristaltic movement? That is rhythmic contraction and relaxation of this esophagus muscles. These muscles contract and relax, and this movement is called peristaltic movement, right? So with the help of this movement, the food comes into our stomach. Now in stomach, as I discussed, that gastric gland, three types of gastric glands are secreted. What is that? First is HCl, second is mucus, third is pepsin, right? So this HCl is hydrochloric acid. What is the function of hydrochloric acid? This hydrochloric acid, this is the chemical which is secreted in the stomach naturally, right? You are not taking any HCl directly, right? So this HCl, there are two functions of HCl. One is mentioned in your NCERT, but another one is not mentioned. So you can write. Anyway, I have given you all the organs and their functions in separate slide also. You can note down. Now see here, this mouth, teeth, they chew the food, convert complex food into simpler. Tongue mixes food with the saliva, makes smooth texture for easy swallowing. Saliva contain salivary amylase, which break down starch into sugar, right? Which break down starch into sugar. Now, next one is esophagus. No digestion takes place. Sorry, I told you sugar into starch. It is starch into sugar because our food contains starch. Now, HCl facilitates the no digestion takes place. In esophagus, no digestion takes place. No digestion takes place in esophagus. In stomach, I told you there are three glands, that is HCl, pepsin, and one is mucus. This is the mucus. So what is the function of HCl? It kills germs, that is disease causing germs. Second, it facilitates the action of pepsin. Now what is this pepsin? Pepsin, it breaks down proteins into amino acids. Proteins, that is pepsinogen, it activates, it converts proteins into pepsinogen and then it breaks, right? So HCl, in your book it is written only facilitate the action of pepsin, because this pepsin works in acidic medium, right? So when the HCl is secreted, this pepsin gets activated and it converts proteins into amino acids, right? Now third one is mucus. Mucus, it protects the inner lining of the stomach from the ill effect of the acid. You must be saying that gastric problem, that acidity is has been occurred. I am feeling acidity. It is due to the secretions of large amount of hydrochloric acid, and this hydrochloric acid, it it this hydrochloric acid, it if it is more in your stomach, it damage your inner lining of the stomach. So it is a protective layer, right? Mucus is the protective layer of the stomach. It protects the direct contact of acid with the inner lining of the stomach. So this is plays very important role. Otherwise, your inner membrane will be damaged and you may suffer the disease called ulcer, and which is very dangerous also. So this is the function of stomach, that is hydrochloric acid. It facilitates the action of pepsin, because pepsin activate in the acidic medium. So HCl providing the acidic medium for the action of pepsin enzyme which digests proteins, right? Now mucus, it protects the inner lining of the stomach from the ill effects of the acid. So now I think you must be clear with the function of three main organs. Now after this, when the food is digested, it goes to the small intestine. From here, again here you are having some muscles which allows the easy passing of the food. Now this is the part of the small intestine. So this food from the stomach comes to the small intestine, where the complete digestion of food takes. So digestion starts from the mouth. So till the food remains in the mouth, it get digested. After that, it comes to the stomach. Till the food remains in the stomach, it get digested. But in these two organs, no complete digestion of food takes place. Right? Complete digestion of food takes place in small intestine. Now this liver and pancreas, I told you, play a very important role. What is the function of liver? Liver secretes bile juice. This bile juice contain bile salt and bile pigment, right? This liver, it do not supply bile juice directly to the small intestine. It gets stored in the gallbladder, right? So from here, this pancreas, it secretes trypsin enzyme that digests proteins, and lipase that break down food molecules, that digest fats molecule, not food molecules, fat molecules, right? And it also secretes an insulin hormone, which is very much important for controlling the sugar level in your blood. So pancreas is plays dual function in your body, right? So pancreas secretes trypsin and lipase enzyme. One, second, it secretes insulin hormone which control the sugar level. Now liver secretes bile juice which contain bile salt and bile. Now this bile juice from the gallbladder and these pancreatic juices as well as enzymes comes from the common opening to the small intestine. Right? Now in small intestine you are having bile juice, you are having trypsin enzyme, you are having lipase enzyme as well as insulin hormone. So this is very much important part of the small intestine. Remember that in herbivores, the small intestine part is larger than carnivores because they are eating uh, cellulose, right? And cellulose takes large time to get digest. And carnivores eat meat and all that will be digested soon. So herbivores having large small intestine than carnivores. Now what happens in the small intestine? Now this food get completely digested. What happens? As I told you, the liver secretes bile juice. It contains bile salt and bile pigment. Now what happens to the bile salt? What the bile salt will do? The bile salt emulsified your fat molecules. What is the meaning of emulsification? Breaking down of large food molecules into smaller ones, right? So bile juice contain bile salt which emulsified. Emulsified is the process in which large globules of fat broken down into smaller ones. So you can write whole sentence also, or you can write simple ki bile salt emulsified fats. Now these fats, when it broken down into simpler forms, it is digested by the lipase enzyme which is secreted by pancreas. Clear? Pancreas is secreting lipase enzyme. So this lipase enzyme, after emulsification of fats, digest fats, right, into fatty acid and glycerol, right, which is the absorbable form of food by the blood. So lipase digest emulsified fats, break down emulsified fats into glycol, uh, into fatty acid and glycerol, right, into fatty acid and glycerol. Now this trypsin, which is secreted by the lipase, it digests proteins. But when, as I told you, this liver secretes bile juice, it can contain bile salt. The function of bile salt is clear. Now second one is bile pigment. This bile pigment, it provides alkaline medium, that is the neutralize. In stomach the food is acidic. Now it has to be neutralized, that to be converted into alkaline medium, right? Alkaline क्या होते हैं? Base, right? It is the base. uh, they are bitter in taste. So this trypsin enzyme, which is secreted by pancreas, activate only in the alkaline medium, and in alkaline medium they break down again proteins. Pepsin is breaking the food in the acidic medium. That is the difference between pepsin and trypsin. Very important question. Write the difference between pepsin and trypsin. Pepsin is secreted by stomach. Pepsin is secreted by stomach. Trypsin is secreted by pancreas. Pepsin works in acidic medium. Trypsin works in alkaline medium. Clear? So it breaks down proteins finally into amino acids. So your lipase function is clear. That breaks down fat molecules. Then trypsin break down trypsin break down proteins. Now this small intestine also secrete intestinal juice which finally convert carbohydrates into glucose, that is starch into glucose. So what are the final products? Glucose, amino acid, fatty acid and glycerol. So these are the final product of digestion of food which will be absorbed by the small intestine. It contains villi. Villi are finger-like structures, right, that are present in the walls of the small intestine along with blood capillaries, blood vessels. So this digested food is absorbed by villi, which is sent to the cells through blood vessels which are present in villi. Now this undigested food comes to the large intestine, where villi also present. So villi is present in both small intestine and large intestine, but function is different. In small intestine it absorbs digested food. In large intestine it absorbs excess of water. So when the undigested food comes into this large intestine, the excess of water is absorbed by the villi present in the large intestine, and this solid food comes to the rectum where it gets stored, and when this is filled, you will get the message through brain, because these are all muscular organs, right? And we will throw out of the body through anus. So these are the functions of all the organs of our digestive system or alimentary canal, right? Why the name is alimentary canal? Because this is whole structure is the tubular structure. This whole is the 9-meter long tube which is present in the coiled form. I am not talked about appendix. This is the vestigial organs. What do you mean by vestigial organs? This is of no use in our body, but it is useful in cattle, where they eat cellulose or large, and that takes time. So this is functionable in cattle, not in the human being. So I have not mentioned about appendix in our digestive system. This is the vestigial organs, that is, this is present in our body, but it is of no use. We are having two organs which are called vestigial organs. One is appendix, full name is vermiform appendix, and another one is nictitating membrane, that is present in your eyes, folding of skin in the form of skin folding. You can see at the corner of your eyes, that is called nictitating membrane, that is also of no use in our body. So with this, I have completed the digestive system in human being. I have mentioned all the organs in the slides, and I have written the function also. So I don't think you are going to have any doubts. If still the doubts persist, you can ask me when I am meeting in my live class. So thank you. With this, I have completed this chapter. Now open your NCERT book. Open your NCERT book. You can mark the which I have underlined. That is, vestibular movement is the defining characters of life is not enough. Viruses do not show any molecular movement in them until they react with infect some cells. So they will, when they enter in our body, they will be active. So that is why we'll come to know the symptoms after few days that the virus has infected your body. Now, what is the life process? The process which together perform. Don't write this. Perform the maintenance job in our body is called life process. So this is all about definitions of nutrition, respiration, excretion, and transportation, which I already given you in my audio video lectures. Now, next is about this is some organism use simple, that is of autotrophic mode of nutrition, and another one is heterotrophic mode of nutrition. You can underline this. Now here, what is the in which form the carbohydrates stored in your body? That is in the form of starch, right? And in the human body, that is in the form of glycogen. This is very important question. You can mark from here. I have already given you the assignment, so you can write the answer from here. This is the equation for photosynthesis, which is mentioned in my notes also. This is events of photosynthesis, which I have given you in the slides. Now this is about desert plants. Desert plant take up the carbon dioxide at night, because during hot, if the stomata get open, lots of water will be evaporate. And as you know that in desert we have the scarcity of water. Clear? Now this is the activity 6.1, which I have already discussed. This is the diagram of stomata along with the this is the structure of stomata. These are the function. Now you can write here what causes opening and closing of the guard cells, right? I'll send you the assignment. If I have not given earlier, I'll find out and I'll send you the assignment also. This is activity that carbon dioxide is necessary for photosynthesis, which I have already discussed. Now you can design that the sunlight is essential for photosynthesis. In first experiment, you have seen when you kept the plants in dark room, all starch is used. When you kept in 6 hours, only the portion which is having sunlight, which is having chlorophyll, that has been used. Now this sunlight is essential for photosynthesis. I will design one activity and I'll give you in my next lecture. Clear? Apart from other minerals, these are the substance materials which are necessary for plants, that is nitrogen, phosphorus, iron and magnesium, right? These are the other materials which are necessary for plants, right? Apart from carbon dioxide and water. Now, these nitrogen, it is absorbed by the plants in the form of nitrates or nitrates, which you have already studied in your 9th class in under the heading nitrogen cycle. And you know that bacteria converts nitrogen into bacteria fixes atmospheric nitrogen. That means conversion of nitrogen into nitrates or nitrites. In this form, the plants absorb. Now, this is about heterotrophic nutrition. I have already discussed with you the holozoic, parasitic, and saprophytic mode of nutrition, right? And this is the example of parasitic plants. That is, only one plant is given. That is Cuscuta. Another, you can write picture plant. And these are the example of parasitic animals. Now, how do organisms obtain nutrition? So, you can mark from here. For amoeba, for amoeba it is given in the detail, and one more is there, paramecium. If you see the diagram of paramecium, it has a specific spot, right, towards one side. So paramecium take the food from that spot, and cilia, which is present all over the body, it helps in the movement of particles inside the body, right? Next, nutrition in human being. I discussed everything. You can relate this with my notes which are given in the form of slides. I have given all the function of all the parts of the digestive, all the organs of the digestive system. Clear? So with this, I have completed my notes, my live lecture, my audio video lecture of all the topics of this chapter. So with this, I am completing my chapter 6, that is audio video lecture. Today I am going to take live classes. So I'll send you now. You can go through it and have with your problems. We are going to discuss your problems in my live class. Clear? So goodbye.